I wired up the GPS module, got it installed. I'm going to use all 6 pins now, guys, so that means the compass is also in this connector. Ground voltage, receive and transmit for the GPS, and data and clock for the compass. I have made a decision on using a compass. We'll get into that in the future. I'm going to use it on one platform. So it will be disabled on this one for starters. So there's the GPS. I just used a little hot glue to mount that compass holder in there, and the compass goes in the holder quite well. The cable goes way back in the fuselage, as you can see, for connecting to the flight controller, so I should have plenty of length on that. Kind of getting hard with no glue, but be wiring up the flight controller, sorting up the pins on the flight controller here. And I did put the carbon fiber rods in the top of both wings with what Yoo-hoo pour I had left over. And then No Fly Drones messaged me and coaxed me into buying some more Yoo-hoo pour, which I guess it completely slipped my mind I could do that. Wasn't so much the price, even though I am getting it at a 50% discount when I order bulk. But I will have a tube in here Tuesday, so I will be back in business rather quickly. But the Yoo-hoo pour I had left, I used to glue in these top pieces, and like I say, the carbon fiber rod in the top. There's there's 3 carbon fiber rods goes in the bottom of each of them. And I'll start that Tuesday when the glue comes in. I got out the little servo tester and centered up those servos, and then hot glued them in with just a small amount of hot glue. That way they should be able to be gotten in and out easier if they should have any kind of problems than if I used Yoo-hoo pour on them. Yoo-hoo pour just really holds on to stuff. And hot glue on foam like this, most of us know the isopropyl alcohol trick to bust it loose, so it's really holds it well until you need to get those servos out of there for some reason. Okay, the glue's not quite here yet, but I've laid everything out to get started. I've got 3 more carbon fiber rods to put in these wings. These are just pre-positioned. 1, 2, 3. Those aren't glued in. Got to glue those into both wings. This is the antenna for the Dragon Link. I've got a line drawn there, and I'm going to put it through the wing right there and run it back all the way into the equipment bay and hook it to the receiver. Got my servo glued in already. This is going to come down through here. Here's a little extension for it. Now that extension only gets that, right at 4 inches into the equipment bay. But both of these are going to be hooked to a Y connector, so that'll extend them even further. So that'll be okay. I really need to get back to making up DuPont connectors myself. I have all the wire and the connectors and everything here, and crimping tool and everything. I just got out of practice with it, but I know if I started doing it again, I would get back in practice and it would be a snap. But so far I'm still using pre-made ones. So again, carbon fiber rods, 3 of them. Same setup on this side. Little 12-inch extension comes out a little bit for the servo. This is the 1.2 Maytech video transmitter. I'd been using it in the Rover. That's why it's heat sunk and all sorts of stuff. And it was got some connectors on it. Those would come right off. So I'm gonna have to make wiring up for that. It's just 4 wires: ground, voltage, video, and this one does have smart audio in it for. Is it smart audio? No, I'll have to look at that. Don't think the 1.2 has smart audio in it. Don't think many of them do at all. They don't change powers in general. But I'll look at that again. So I have to bring a cable through to get that into the equipment compartment. I've got control horns sitting here for both ailerons to go in here. And then I went looking for connecting rods for the servos, and I only have this much M2 rods, threaded rods. I've got 3 little pieces left. And the biggest piece I got will do one side, but only one. It won't do both. So I'm going to have to order some of them threaded rods for the completion of this. But I do still have plenty of the little ball end linkages I use on both sides. So 4 of those. So I need to order M2 threaded rod, and that is it. But I can get started on all this just as soon as the glue gets here. So there's the 6S battery on my battery charger charging. It was down to 22.8 volts, so it was just kind of, it was above the minimum, but it was low. Just need to take care of it. Like I say, I got in the adapters, XT60 to XT90. Got the opposite gender of this, so I can hook XT60 batteries to the XT90 quad, and I can hook XT90 batteries to the XT60 SkyHunter, that kind of thing. And we have U4 in hand again, so let's get going on the SkyHunter again. Boy, talk about hurry up and wait. It doesn't take long to put in 6 carbon fiber rods, but then you have to wait several hours for it to dry enough to make sure you don't disturb them. So this is going to go kind of slowly, but only on the glue drying side. That's pretty weird. While I was waiting on the wings to dry, I utilized my time to finish up the fuselage. I put the airspeed sensor back in for the 3rd time. I still didn't get it perfectly straight. I am going to dap over these cosmetically and get that corrected. I also need to gather up my airspeed tubes right here somehow. I'm afraid hot glue will melt them, so I'll have to think about what I'm going to do there. I mounted the airspeed sensor itself right here in a place where I can connect the connector on and off to the flight controller, which is going to be in this tray. Oops. Come on. I've marked where the back of my flight controller is going to be. I'm going to mount the little USB cable for it. Let me get it. So this is the little beeper / USB connector. I'll mount it right there, forward enough to where I can get the connector on and off of it easily. I'll mount it right there on the equipment tray. The flight controller goes there, technically facing backwards, I'll have to rotate it in the Ardu plane because of the way the pins are going to go in, and because of the placement of this front brace being near the center of gravity right here, being in the way. It's just going to work out better that way. This cable right here for the airspeed sensor that I'll connect and disconnect as I pull this tray in and out isn't long enough. So I'm going to have to solder. This is a test board, connectors on this end, and then the four conductor Pico connectors on this end that I need. I'm going to have to solder this together to have a cable that's a little longer so that it'll come out and connect to that airspeed sensor there on the side of the fuselage. Rather than cutting this cable and adding link to it and having two splices in it, I'm just going to cut the ends off of this one and have one splice in the cable. Come up about 2-3 inches short on that. And the equipment tray, like I say, will go in and out anytime. It's not hard at all with everything mounted on it to slide it right in here with everything, like I say, mounted on it. And when I do get ready to fly it, I will hot glue one of the corners here so it doesn't move around. But everything will be attached to that tray that can be. Like I say, I have to come out with that cable for the airspeed and click into here. If I want to take the tray out, I have to unclick this connector and pull everything out. Also, another reason I put the flight controller backwards is so I can hook this pigtail to the pigtail that'll be on the flight controller for the ESC. Again, to make it removable. So other than the cosmetics of those two wounds right there and over here where my first attempts at putting that airspeed PDOT tube in weren't very successful, everything's finished on the fuselage now, except for the camera mount here. I'm thinking about just putting a camera right here fixed, mounting forward, and forgetting about it, getting really simple. I don't know, haven't decided on that one yet, but we're proceeding. This is the rear elevator and rudders, horizontal and vertical stabilizers. I guess the elevator's on the back of the horizontal stabilizer and the rudders are actually on the back of the vertical stabilizers. Okay, fine, whatever. While I'm in between times on the wings, the fuselage is finished, I can sort of start on this portion of it. Your rear horizontal stabilizer, 2 vertical stabilizers, 2 carbon fiber rods for strength. These 4 little pieces come out for strength also. And then the little plastic parts that connect to the booms. And then of course we have screws in there, and then I have my 2 3D printed parts for, oops, I have to do 2 more. I need 4 of those instead of just 2. These are how the booms are held to this assembly back here, and this is a simple, you glue this to this, take one of these little foam pieces, glue it to the top to encapsulate that. You glue a vertical stabilizer on. Again, take the little foam part to encapsulate it. That's it. Then I'm going to be putting a carbon fiber rod through this part. Then you put these carbon fiber rods in, and the new thing I'm going to have to do that I've never done before, didn't do with the other SkyHunter, is I'm going to have to make rudders. I'm going to have to cut these. I think I'm going to come down about an inch, go in about an inch, go straight down. Yeehaw! This part's going to be fun. And then there's 3 servos. One here for the elevator. And I guess I'm going to be putting 2 in for 2 rudders. God, fun time. I've got to cut a slot in the elevator here to put this rod in. They send it, but they don't have a pre-cut place for it to put that one in. That one's glued in. It's drying. I went ahead and marked a rudder on the vertical stabilizers. Got a hot knife here with a X-Acto tip on it. I'm going to cut those. After I cut the first one, I'll know whether this was even a good idea or not. Oh, Lordy. What have I gotten into here? Oops. I was moving too slow with my cut in that portion right there, and you can see how that foam moved back like that. And then down through here I moved faster, and it did what I wanted. Well, it made a better cut. Oh, there's that side. You know, I forgot to think about putting the control horn in that. I might have should made that 1.5 inches instead of 1 inch. Oh, Lord. Well, I went down that one much more quickly, and it came out much, much, much better. There we go. Much better. That's the first time I used that hot knife on this foam before. Okay, I kind of like it. Now I've got to mark and cut me a servo hole. So there's what I hope to be 2 rudders. And they're kind of narrow at 1 inch. But I hope, seeing there's 2 of them back there, it will be as if they were bigger. That's all I can hope for. Okay, got that carbon fiber rod in, ready to dry. Got hinges starting on the rudders, 2 of them. All this needs to sit here for a while. I've got to get some supper ready to start cooking. Trout, mountain trout for supper. So basically I'm going to quit. It's 4 or 5 o'clock now. I'm going to relax for the rest of the day and take this up again tomorrow. Thank you, guys.